I'll give us 3, 2, and we are live. The Ray Powers Hour here with my returning guest. This is the first time we're doing it on this medium, but she was here, I guess, a year or two ago, maybe more.
I think it was. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I was just trying to finish the pomp and circumstance for you, give you the
No,
big intro.
please. I don't want to get in your way.
That's okay. Violin extraordinaire. She's back, Michelle Lambert. How you doing?
I'm so good, Ray. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be on here. And it's so great to be back. And this time I can see you on video, which is exciting. And yeah, thank you for having me back and for the opportunity.
Yeah, you're getting the new lighting. I'm still working all this out, but last week I was kind of in the dark, and my good friend John Tagliere, I've known him longer than I haven't, but he's got this really cool studio set up, and it's the lighting is really, really the showpiece, and he shamed me into better lighting, which I'm glad.
It makes all the difference.
Really
you have the lighting, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I look really good. You have the bad lighting, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm always like, okay, try that other angle if you're trying to do a social media post or something. It's just amazing what I can do. But yeah, I've been working on it. I had to get a bunch of lighting for the living room videos that I was doing on YouTube because it was just something that kind of needed to add it in for the COVID situation.
Yeah, well, it's bad when your guest is, showing you up and making you look like an amateur. You look like you're in a basement in Baghdad. It just doesn't look good. But you've been really busy. We know this because you have a #1 song charting here in the New York area. Come to Me, 3rd week in a row at #1. You're bogarting all the chart space, Michelle. Come on.
I'm so excited. I just can't believe that it's #1 for the 3rd week in a row. That's when I saw that, I just was like, wow, it really, really was exciting and kind of surreal. So I have to thank all the fans, all the friends, all the Michelle Lambert village. They got in there and requested it, and I've been getting so many people just loving on the song, and I'm just it's just really exciting. So I can't believe it.
Well, tell them to keep the payola coming, and as long as that works, and no, it really is.
It's so cool too to be charting on the East Coast too, and just that's really, really exciting. That's like I mentioned before, that's definitely a dream of mine to tour there and to spend a week or two doing some dates in New York, and I went to Berkeley, so New England would be great. I have some people there that I would love to go and reconnect with and play some shows, and so maybe we can talk face to face one of these days.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are the best shows because this has improved everything because now they can kind of see that we're looking at each other and we're not just walking into another room as you're prating on about your last single or whatever, and
totally.
They can see we're still awake and engaged. In face to face, obviously is the ultimate because you're in the same room and people can feel that.
Yeah, it's great to get that real life experience. It's so great to be playing shows again. I don't know how the East Coast is going, but they're starting to come back here, and it's just nice to get that one-on-one experience of being able to connect with fans and see people you haven't seen for over a year, and go places that I haven't performed for as well. So it's really exciting.
Absolutely. Now, last time we spoke, it was 2018 or 2019. I think it was 2019. My California was your big single, and that did well.
Yeah, that was a really exciting single there. That was fun to chat with you then too.
Yeah, we got a little bit of a background on when you went to Berkeley and your upbringing and what brought you to the violin, and you also play guitar. You sing.
Yeah.
What don't you do?
I've been getting more into guitar lately. It's just been great for songwriting, and I have this Taylor GS Mini Koa guitar that's just so beautiful, and I've been using her a lot at shows and for recording, and just it's a little bit smaller, and I'm like 5'3", not very big, and so it's nice to have that. It feels like it fits me like it should. And that's been an awesome guitar. And then I did classical. Played a bunch of instruments as a kid, just kind of learned the basics on piano for vocals, more classical style. Violin, of course, I learned very young, the Suzuki method. And so it's cool. Once you kind of have the fundamentals of music, you can put them to different instruments, and it's something that you can kind of hop around a little bit, I feel like.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah, you can whip out a guitar and you can kind of, start a campfire little song circle. Probably not as easy on violin. I guess you could if you had to, but I think it's a little more adaptable and universal.
I was so lucky to start that one young because I feel like it's like learning a language, you know, you see these little kids that know two or three languages and they just because of something they were around. And I feel like violin was that for me. I was very lucky too. I was actually jealous of my older siblings that were going off to violin lessons and they had outgrown these. There was like a 16th size violin in the house and I was like actually 2 years old, but I was jealous of them going off to violin every week and I never got to be involved. I just got to sit and watch. So finally I was like, I'm going to violin lessons. So that was something I learned so young that I think the painfulness of the beginning just kind of didn't, I didn't feel it so much, which I am very happy about. It's very
Yeah,
lucky.
I equate that to like learning Chinese. It's like if you don't master that by the time you're 7, or at least, be completely entrenched in it, forget about it.
No, I'm sure with all the inflections meaning different things, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, totally.
There's like a bunch of alphabets and the characters like infinite, it seems. It takes a whole lifetime just to learn the language, it seems.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Then you have Cantonese and all these other, areas, and just like the US, you speak Southern or you speak New England,
Yeah, yeah.
California.
There's definitely some things when I'm being back in California, I'm like, oh yeah, there's hella cool, there's hella this, hella that.
Yeah.
And you kind of get you say NorCal all the time, at least I do. And maybe that's something that I have picked up more than others, but yeah,
How long did it take
everything.
to shake Wicked after you left school?
I still say wicked. When I meet somebody from Boston, like, how are you? How are you? It's like they don't say, hey, how's it going? Here you'll be like, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Or you'll say dude a lot or something, but there it's like, hey, how are you? It's the only thing you say. And it's just, yeah, I miss like the Dunkin' Donuts coffee. I remember getting there. I loved coffee. But I would never let anybody put sugar and milk in my coffee. I was like, no, I need to do it by taste. And I just like it, it was something that I have to do to taste. But then I was just like, okay, they didn't have the option. And I'm like, all right, just whatever, do the regular. And I taste. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. So it's so
I
fun.
live on it. I just finished like a third cup of coffee before I got up here.
Oh, I went with chamomile, so I'm not, I'll
Uh,
probably still be excited, but
no, I'm hydrating now, but I've got to kind of thin it out a little bit.
yeah, that's what's
Otherwise,
up.
I'll be up until God knows when.
I know.
But yeah, that's the thing on the road. Is I just you have to learn how to sleep again and eating habits and everything else. So are you playing
Yeah,
mostly locally, or are you? I know you've been doing a lot of living room concerts and things like that over the past year,
yeah.
but you're out and about now a little more, right?
Yeah, pretty much everything is in Northern California, mostly Bay Area, but kind of getting busy in the wine country from like Napa Valley and Sonoma, which is north of San Francisco, and then there's like the East Bay. There's a whole kind of area there that you've got 4 million, 3 million people, 4 million people that you've have these different areas that it's good to perform, and then the South Bay is also getting opened up. So yeah, shows are coming in, and it's just starting to come alive. And yeah, so I'm looking to do maybe a show in Berkeley as well. That will be like probably even possibly an indoor event, but a few more months inside the summer. And yeah, so things are coming together. Nothing's kind of touring where you're spending the night in a hotel yet. But I hope by the end of the summer that there's more traveling going on and we can get to some more touring out of the area. It would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the summertime now, so you don't mind being on an outside stage. You almost prefer it.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's like nice. It's still not too hot here, and it's amazing. And I think that's going to be kind of continuing out through the summer. And by the time winter rolls around, I think it's going to be like hopefully things will be all good for indoor shows and all that. It seems like we're coming to the end of the tunnel finally, and there's getting this new normal, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think this week we've had like 70s and sunny. It's been really nice. It's been perfect out here.
That's awesome.
Low humidity. It really feels like it's probably what you get all the time.
I remember Boston. I was like, the winters were so cold. I'm like, I thought because of that, I'm like, you're gonna earn the best summer of your life. And then I
Hmm.
was like, it's so humid here. I'm like, I didn't know how to deal with it. But it's so beautiful. I mean, the spring there was like one of the most beautiful springs I ever saw. Probably the same in you're out of New Jersey, right?
Yep, I'm right outside New York City, 4 miles away on the
Uh,
yeah swamps of the Meadowlands.
love it, love it. It's Bruce Springsteen, right?
Yeah, he's a little further south, but
Further south, okay.
yeah, this is the Meadowlands. This is basically right. You could see the skyline from my window.
That's
In New
amazing.
York,
Wow.
yeah.
I'm a little
So it's the
jealous.
best of both worlds. I'm outside. I've got a little bit of property here, but I
Nice.
could be in the city in 20 minutes, so it's nice.
That's wow. That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
closer than I am to downtown SF. It's pretty close, but yeah, probably like 30 minutes too.
I bitch every month when it comes to tax time, but I mean, that's just we're going to complain no matter what happens. So,
Totally.
but I went back and I was watching some of your other videos just because I was getting ready for this, and um, obviously you got a lot of notoriety from your cover of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Yeah, that was an exciting video. That was something that I put together in Nashville when I was still living there. And I got Reggie Wooten on the guitar, and he's just like of the Wooten brothers. He's pretty much taught them. He was called the master. There's all the different brothers in there, and he's like the biggest sweetheart ever. And he's still a mentor of mine. And so I was like, can you play on this? And he went and did all the electric guitar parts.
Wow.
And so yeah, that was such an exciting thing to put together, and just doing the video. And it was something that I kind of was just, it all came together just kind of at the same time. And I was so excited that the video turned out well. And it just, man, it's so funny because it just flew on YouTube. I mean, it's a very popular tune, so I expected it to do well, but it did, it really has flown. I think it's at like 136,000, yeah, a whole
Yeah, it's
bunch
up
of
there.
views. And yeah, so it's cool. I have so many people that discover that video and then go on to listen to the original, like my original songs, and then they become like really awesome fans. And so it's really cool to see that song bring in, and such a pop rendition that they are still, get a lot of fans that are country fans, but they still dig the version that I did, which is cool.
Yeah, you
It's pretty.
reimagined it and you took a few chances, and I like the fact that you stepped outside the box and you brought it into 20. What was it when you recorded it? 17, 18. When did you do that video?
I think it was like 2015.
Was
It's
it?
been a hot minute.
Okay.
Yeah, I have
Because
to look, but I think something like that.
And I see the YouTube comments. You're like, you're not going to please everybody. It's like, well, you didn't do a faithful cover. It's like, but if I did a faithful cover, you'd be like, why couldn't you do something a little different with it?
Right.
Why'd you
I
carbon
always
copy it?
I take the hate comments of like, hey, if you're reaching that many people, you're finally making, some real headway. So it's,
We talk about.
I've never had any serious problems, so I don't, but it's something that if you're reaching that many people, that's a good, you're getting out there.
It's always the other musicians, you know that.
Yeah.
Like, I could have done that better. Well, go ahead, upload the video, please.
Yeah.
Show me.
Yeah.
But
no, that was really cool. It was fun. I was playing that at the time. I was playing it in the honky tonks down in Broadway Street, where they have all the kind of the music going 24/7. And so I was playing with a couple different acts and down in Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. And so it was one that we would just jam out like crazy. I would be up on the bar just like doing this had Crazy Train in the middle of it, had a bunch of just like jamming out. And so when I was like, okay, I want to try to make this, people would just be so into it. And so I just wanted to so I threw that like kind of classical breakdown part that I would do in the live shows that I was doing. And it was something fun to just kind of bring something different to the table with such a kind of legendary song. And yeah, I think it went well, and I'm excited that people dig it.
it's a showstopper. I mean, that's got to be like your big encore, and it's where do you go from there?
No, it's one that's super fun to play live, and yeah.
Now, I know last time we spoke, you were getting in a little hot water with some of your pyro tricks. We talked about that. A couple of managers going, "What are you doing? You can't be doing that here. We don't have the fire code for that." I guess, have you modified that at all, or have you figured out a way where you can still, work that into your set, or does it? I mean, it just depends on indoor, outdoor.
Yeah, I haven't been messing with that so much. I just for like insurance and stuff, it's just not something that is, unless you're going just, wildling style and not, by the book or anything. But yeah, I kind of haven't done that since being in like Nashville. Yeah, it's been 5-6 years now. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I look back on it with zero regrets, that's for sure.
you know what it was. I mean, you were probably still little, but back in 2003, they had that horrible, horrible fire in Rhode Island.
Was this from like a pyrotechnic thing?
Yeah. the band Great White, they actually lost a guitar player in the fire. It was a horrendous fire, and something near the ceiling, like some of the foam insulation or whatever. You know, they had a low ceiling. It was like a bar. It was like a, one of these clubs that holds 1,000 people.
Oh man, yeah.
With a real low ceiling, and when you're on stage, now you're even closer to the ceiling. The cans are right there, and they had pyro. And initially, the front couple of rows thought it was part of the show, because you're just looking at these flash pots.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah.
But whatever it was ignited immediately, like kindling, and in seconds, the whole place was engulfed. It was awful. People died. It was just horrible. It really changed the way they had to, carry out some of these concerts. Everything was banned. They wouldn't even let me use fog. I'm like, this is water. That's all it is. It's just vapor.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. I see smoke and They freaked out. So yeah, that radically changed a lot of things. Like Kiss obviously has a fire department there. They have professionals.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
but yeah, they had a lot of pyro. That's crazy. I wonder if that affected. Like I did one show at Tootsie's, and I just kind of brought in. I used to light the end of my bonfire with this clip, and then have this breathe a little fire with it. And so I did this one night. The singer that I was working with, he was like, just do it. And he was friends with the owner, and I was like, all right, this is on you then. So I did it, and it was like, the owner was like, that's never happening again. But after that, I was like legendary. You're like, oh my gosh, it was like the coolest night ever. So it was fun. But yeah, it's definitely something that, it was fun while it lasted.
Definitely easier to get forgiveness than permission. You know that.
Exactly.
So what else has been going on? I mean, you've got this single, obviously, Come to Me, is streaming everywhere. I mean, the Spotify playlist has to be, just getting bigger at this point. I'm sure the video's getting hits, and obviously getting radio play. That much I know. And what about live? Like, are you doing it live? Is it getting received well?
Yeah, it's going really well live. It's one of my favorite songs to play live. It's one that just goes over with all ages, and just is something that is. I was even playing it a little bit before recording it, and I was like, I have to record this because it would just get such a strong reaction, and that's what you want. So it was so exciting to get the same reaction recorded and get a nice, I did all the production on it, and just pretty much I played all the instruments on it. So I was just like hoping that I would be able to pull this, together and get exactly the sound I wanted on it, and was super happy how it came out. But yeah, it's been going well with numbers, and I'm going to be putting out a music video, like an official video for it coming up. I do have a lyric video already, and I'm looking forward to do something fun with the official music video. I haven't decided what exactly, but hopefully in the next month or two there will be that out as well, and I'm looking forward. I love to put I get all these ideas in my head that I can just see what it is, and then it's just fun to figure out. It never turns out exactly what's in your head, but you get all this inspiration, and it's just fun to work that side of it.
So you produced the track as well?
I did, yeah. I did record everything, and so that was exciting through drum machines and tracking Ableton Live, Pro Tools, Adobe Audition, and Native Instruments. I used a bunch of those. This keyboard right here, and my Koa guitar, the violin,
have mine next to me.
Double violins actually. What's that?
I have mine next to me here on the console. You can't see it, but 2 decks
nice.
Actually, because you get an idea, and it's like, if it's the middle of the night, you have to get up, and thank God for a recorder on your phone.
Yeah,
you lay it next to the piano.
I use that a lot.
Yeah, hum into it.
It's like if you're writing a song, man, sometimes it just hits you, and you need to get it out then. Right. So it's ever since I've had an iPhone, it was like, it's so nice. Otherwise, I would just have these random things written with the chords above it and try to sing it enough times that I wouldn't forget the overall sound of it. But now with the recording, it's like, you got it.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a lot harder. Like back in the old days, you'd have to have the Panasonic Slimline with the cassette in there and room on the cassette.
Yeah. That's cool. I remember right before the iPhone was out, but it was still not popular for all these things, and it was like, you needed to go get your recording for going, like when I was at Berkeley, to record your classes, to make sure you had all the information, and I was too lazy to. I think I would use my computer. I had a laptop, and I'm bringing it in, and I'm like, that's enough. And then I got the phone eventually, and that was kind of my next step.
Awesome. I actually meant to get some email from people. I think there's only one that came in. and that was just my negligence. But I want to get people to respond after the fact, and you'll have to check the YouTube comments because people do a live chat as we're doing this, and they'll, of course, once this airs and it's finished, there'll be the comments that are permanent. As you know, the internet is forever.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah, the only one.
Yeah, where do people? Where's the best way to send the emails?
Well, the emails always go to the raypowershour@gmail.com.
Okay, cool.
And of course, the Ray Powers Hour is the YouTube page, so the comments will be there. People will ask questions; they always do. And nice. I see you respond to yours. You're very, very good with that.
Yeah, I get so honored that people want to reach out and connect, and I think it's exciting. And to me, it's like you're building a community of people that are they want to come see a show, they want to go hear you online, and I just think if they can take the time to put that out there, I feel like I should definitely write them back, and it's kind of sparks the seed, hopefully.
Sure. Well, I did get one email from Jeanette in Rego Park, which is an area in Queens, New York City.
Cool.
I was born like 3 minutes away, so maybe I went to school with Jeanette. I have no idea.
Nice.
She can be 30 years younger than me, 30 years older than me. Who knows? But she wanted to know where you got your influence, where you got your impetus to play. There's like a whole paragraph here, so I'm just kind of trying to fish out the question here. Where you got the motivation to play violin?
Yeah, so as far as violin goes, like I mentioned, I started very young. I started like 2, kind of going on my 3rd birthday, and just it's very simple stuff in the beginning. You're just kind of learning the basics, and honestly, I don't remember. It's too long ago for exactly in those moments. But throughout my childhood, I studied classical really seriously, and kind of did well with that. But then as a teenager, my teacher had moved out of this. I was from a very small town, so it was very easy to focus on something like this. And I had a great parent that was just all about, making sure we were practicing. But then my teacher moved out of town, and so I was kind of like, for a year or so there, I was kind of like, do I keep going or do I not? So at that time, I was writing a lot of songs and getting more into like pop music. And being a teenager, you're like, I did that as a kid. I'm not going to do that anymore. So it was kind of lucky. I got into I started performing a bit and doing my first gigs where I would get paid as a teenager, and I was on the violin or on the fiddle. And so it was kind of some bluegrassy Americana stuff. And once I got a paycheck, I was like, that's fun. So it was kind of something that hooked me of like, oh, this is cool. And not a lot of people were playing the instrument at the time. So I was like, this is a kind of the ace up your sleeve or whatever. So then it just kind of went from there. Once I got into writing songs, I would try to incorporate it into being something that would be like an electric guitar would play, and bring in the violin with that, and just kind of always find a way to incorporate it into the songwriting and everything. So it's just been something that I've always added to the show, and kind of a signature thing to go along with all the singing and writing. So yeah, I appreciate her question though. That's cool. Yeah, well, I hope I covered all the bases there.
Well, Jeanette, is just a train ride away from Manhattan, so
wow,
she can be at Rockwood when that happens.
That would be so cool. I really, really hope to play there. And of course, I'll have my axe, my violin, which is right now I'm playing on Sabretooth. And this violin has a crazy story. I bought it when I was like 15. I didn't drive it or anything. My mom drove me to this place in Manteca that was selling violins, that there was somebody that was like, you need to go get a violin here. And so that was a 5-hour drive or something from where I was from. So out in the Central Valley, and then got a violin, and it was just beautiful, wonderful violin. And then make it back to the city, to San Francisco. And my dad was there. And just the car ended up breaking down on the way back. So it was this whole drama, and it was all for this violin. So it started with kind of a rocky road. And then I probably played over 10,000 hours. And getting to Nashville, it was the main violin I was using. And one of the nights at one of the honky tonks I would play at, Tootsie's Orchid Lounge, one of the really old ones. And I was playing, and I was taking a little break, and there was this kind of roped off VIP section that was just empty, and nobody was supposed to be up there. So I put my violin down there on like the seat, and then some drunk guy gets up there and sits on it, snaps it in like the neck in half, and I'm just like, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, did this actually happen? And I was just like, I felt really stupid. I was like, why did you put it in a place like this? You could have, put it at least on top of the table so it was visible. But then I had this amazing luthier that I thought it was done. I was like, he's like, here, let me mess with it. I'm like, okay, go ahead, but really don't worry about it. It's wall art now or whatever. And so he put the whole thing back together, and it works as good or better as before. And
Wow.
it actually just kind of, I don't know how he stuck it back together and glued it, so you actually see the scar on the neck. And I play that in a German violin that's like 100 years old, and that honky tonk California fiddle just sounds so much better than the German one, which is like, considering how old the other one is, it's always surprising for me. And like, so it's been through some trials and tribulations though.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, those character scars, every time you look at it, you'll be able to tell that story and relive that story and remember it. I mean, every nick, every bump, it just adds more character to the instrument. Belt buckle scratches on the guitar, it just, you need those.
Yeah. I mentioned Reggie Wooten before. I remember I was sitting down and chatting with him, and he's just such an incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
And I was asking something about his guitar, and he was like, yeah, it's I think it was just like a $200 guitar. It's really nothing special, and he's just making it sound so beautiful and so awesome. It's like, yeah, it really tuned in after it got backed over by a truck or something. It's just like, what? So it's just funny. You get these stories after a while, but
it's all in the hands. I mean, you can have a $10,000 Les Paul, or like I said, a $200 little rinky-dink acoustic. You put it in the right hands, it's going to sound amazing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No, I had I took drum lessons as a kind of 10-year-old or so. I was sent off to drum lessons because my rhythm was like so, and so it was this really cool British drummer that I think he was touring with some pretty big names back in like the 90s. And just the nicest guy. That's kind of how I got into songwriting. Had written songs for Laura Branigan in the 80s. He worked with Jewel in the 90s and just kind of worked with a bunch of cool names. And he was like, if you need an expensive instrument to sound good, you're not there yet. So it always stuck with me.
I was talking about that. I play softball on the weekends, and we were talking about that with bats. These guys go out, they spend $800 on like this two-piece bat, this graphite special with whip action, and they're rated around the world, and it's like, all right, but you get a big gorilla, he could be up there with a lead pipe.
Yeah.
It's all in the stroke, it's all in the hands, it's all in the delivery. It's the same thing with an instrument.
I completely,
a drummer with with how he's his touch and how he's laying into a drum or sitting back.
Yeah. It's all all that experience, all that knowledge that you get from so many different situations, whether it's, experience playing from your mistakes you make are always the biggest lessons you can learn, and just, all the hours you put in.
Absolutely. What about like an instrument like the cello? Is that like an easy a transition, or, I mean, are you approaching it differently because it's, a bigger instrument, a rhythm instrument?
Yeah, that would be for cello. I've messed around with viola a little bit. I had a 5-string that was a viola kind of transformed into a 5-string violin. So they added the high E, and 3 of the strings are the same, and it's all the same. Like it's tuned in fifths, so your fingerings are very similar, but it's just a little bigger of an instrument. And that was a lot of fun. I used that. Actually, I played that violin in the Double and Down to Georgia video. And the cello is cool. I haven't to be fluid on it where I could play well would take, some time. But if I wanted to lay something, say in the studio where I'm like, I know exactly the part, you just learn that part, then I think it would be something that I could, and especially because I'm not looking for fancy classical runs or something, that would be something probably over my head unless I were to really study. But yeah, I've never messed around with that instrument too much. Just I didn't have my hands on one,
Yeah, I'm a bassist by trade, so that's why I asked, because, it's the family, and I always thought, I would love to try to mess with the bow, and, I don't have one here.
You should, yeah. Yeah, it's it's something, probably the cello would be more natural if you do stand-up bass especially, it would be something that would, I love the sound of the bass and the stand-up bass. I think and the cello, I think it's such a rich tone. I'm all about the low notes, even on the violin. I'm like always on the lower 2 or 3 notes, especially just for the textures and everything.
Yeah, I don't own a double bass. I would love to have the big upright, but, I mean, they just take up so much room. I barely have
And they're
enough room.
expensive too, right?
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to make, I'm sure. Like a violin is just, small, but
Yeah.
that's
And I always see these like little like 4'11" Asian girls, and they're carrying around this this bass that's twice their size. It's like, how did you get that on the subway? There's a turnstile down there. There's not even a door. How did you get that in?
yeah,
It's amazing.
it's so crazy.
But yeah, I mean, I barely have enough room for my bass guitars in my cases.
Yeah.
Although, there's
Yeah.
always room for one more. If you buy another instrument, you'll always find room.
Yeah. No, I've been trying to like I have two violins, two guitars. I try to have like a backup of everything, but I'm trying not to collect too many and just I get really attached to my instrument. So then it's like I like even having both violins, I try to keep them both in rotation so I get them both, performed out there and just yeah. So I get kind of attached to they have a whole sentimental value. More than they probably should, I guess. I don't know.
No, of course, it's a very personal thing. I mean, you spend, like you said, 10,000 hours on your one
Yeah.
violin. How do you not become attached to it? How does it not become an appendage?
No, yeah, very true. Very true.
Now, during a typical live set, be it a headline or an opener, do you normally have your guitar and your violin, or are you more focused on the violin?
I usually do both. I like, for example, we were talking about My California before, so that's like one of my signature songs. It's funny because I wrote that song on the East Coast. I was down in Miami area in Florida, and I was just touring out of there a ton. And I had been out of California since been born and raised there, but then I was out for college and went on to Nashville and was just kind of just dove in and did every show that came my way and just kind of went from green to less green. And then after feeling like I got my confidence as a writer and kind of ready to launch as an artist, then I just started focusing on the artist thing, and that just took me to okay, now I was recording down in LA and Atlanta, and then starting to then put that EP that was the Warrior EP to the streets and to the on the road. And so that took me from shows from like LA to then in Northern California as well to Denver, filmed the music video for Warrior in Denver, and then was just heavy out of the East Coast down south. And that was I was probably 10 years out of California then. I was just starting to kind of miss home, loving the adventure, but missing my roots. And so then I wrote that song, and it did really well on the West Coast. So the California music scene was really digging it because it's My California. It's all about that. So it was very funny how it just that coming out and getting all that buzz out here on the California side. Then it was just an opportunity to come back here and start touring the West Coast. And so it's one that, so when I'm at a show, I always want to put that in there, and I usually put that on the guitar. And unless it's a really quick changeover, like I'm opening and there's just not a lot of time, then I'll probably just bring my violin. But if there's time for everything, I like to perform a few of them on the guitar. But Come to Me, my latest single, is a violin song, so that's that's going to be out there. The performance part of the violin is fun because you can just put your body into it, and
Right.
I like to move around on stage a lot and just get people into it. It's so much fun. I grew up, like I said, in the classical world, and it was just so well behaved and so structured. And so when I would go see a show where people were just moving around, running around, just having a great time and connecting to the audience, that was just that's what I want to do. So I love that, and I always want people to just feel like, this is exciting, this is fun, this person is trying to, reach me, and I get it, I feel it. So, which one thing with the guitar is you're kind of there at the microphone. You have a lot of music coming from you, but you don't have that hey, I can come out and kind of sing to you on a stage. So it's kind of two different things, but yeah, a long answer to your question there.
No, absolutely. I always thought, I figured if you had to choose one, I figured the default would be the violin, just because, it's so much a part of you. And again, it sets you apart because, all right, it's a girl with a guitar. It's awesome. But look at this girl. She's got a rock violin and she's, oh my God, so.
Totally. Yeah, usually more if it's about the song, then I'll
Sure.
sit down and do something on the guitar. Say if it's like a radio thing, then I'll just keep it about the song. But if it's about performance, yeah, I love to get all over that violin.
How long would your typical solo go? Like, your showstopper, your pyrotechnic, do you have a middle of the set solo where you just kind of, your Ace Frehley moment where you would have like a smoking violin that would just someone puts it on a cable and then it's spinning up above the arena and, you know.
I don't right now. I have it like, I like to keep it kind of, a lot of the stuff I arrange just really, it's arranged within the, you know, within the time frame, and then I can improv with inside of that.
Gotcha.
And, you know, from time to time, if it's really gone, I'm like, hey, let's run this again, and just kind of keep on it. But yeah, I realized over time that what keeps people, I feel like, more into it, which I feel like maybe it's maturing as a musician, is like the less just going crazy mental, and keep it, if you're gonna go crazy mental, keep it in, hey, make sure it's like you have, like, I realize when I do like the hooks, and then I think sometimes the improv can lose impact if I do it too much. Right. So to keep it into certain areas where, like, okay, that's where I can just let it go and really get into it and make sure, you know, because to do improv and to make it mean something, you have to connect to it. You have to be like, I'm feeling it. And if you're not feeling it that moment, then it's kind of good to have something there that's going to be, you know, it's going to be something that means something musically, that people are going to like, oh yeah, that's part of that song. And, you know, like for Come to Me, for example, those hooks, like that intro, if I, you know, if I'm in the middle of the solo, like in the middle of the song, there's a solo there, I'm like feeling it, then it's, you know, hey, just run it free. But if I'm not, just to make sure I don't, because I've had times in my life where I did way too much improv, and I'm like, I would hear back recording and be like, wow, I'm just really not focused on anything. So it's just kind of, yeah. But I think that I hear what you're saying. I would say that would be, the songs that I have some fun with, a cover song that I enjoy doing is Imagine Dragons, Radioactive. That's one. It doesn't have long solos, but I just love to do some kind of almost like Devil Went Down to Georgia, like devil slides on there.
Right.
And then the one of my new ones coming out, Breaking All the Rules. I'm in the studio right now. I keep redoing this song because it's not hitting it for me yet. And I've been messing with this intro that's exactly what you're talking about, where it's just like some Jimi Hendrix style. Stop the band while I have a little moment of kissing the sky or whatever. Yeah. And then it's got kind of the typical, you know, a hook in there and something that's written for it. But yeah, it's fun. I love bringing in that just raw music, animalistic, you know, energy.
A lot of it's got to be reading the room too. I mean, you know, if you're getting a lot of arms folded, you're like, all right, let me, you know, stick to what I know, or maybe you have to break him out of that shell and like, oh wow, look what you did there, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, I totally get it. Michelle, I can't believe we already killed half the segment. This is crazy.
Wow.
I've got to be able to play the song on the back end on the radio. So tell them where to go to get all your music and all your updates. Yeah.
Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you again, Ray, for having me. Make sure you're following the Ray Powers Hour. This guy does some amazing interviews, and it's always a pleasure. So you can go to the easiest way is MichelleLambert.com. You have all the links on there, and just Michelle Lambert for all the Spotify, Pandora, all the Amazon, all the streaming stuff. It's up there. And otherwise, yeah, I'm on Instagram quite a bit, Facebook. I actually got my first viral Facebook with announcing my first #1 here, and that was exciting. I got like to 20,000 views and tons of likes, tons of shares, so that was exciting. But definitely on Facebook as well for events and all that, especially. And I'm just starting to flirt with TikTok, so you'll see a lot of just me playing a guitar, singing a song, or maybe doing some violin on there. So you can do @Michelle Lambert Music for those, and otherwise MichelleLambert.com. You'll get kind of a lot of, you know, information of finding all these things as well.
Well, 2 of those fantastic Ray Powers Hour shows have been thanks to you. Michelle Lambert, everybody. Go check her out. Come back anytime.
Thank you so much for having me. It's really good to be back.
You come back anytime. Like I said, next time you got a New York tour date, we'll do this in person. You can come to the Cove. I'll come to you. We'll do it at Rockwood. Who cares? We'll do it live on location.
I love it. I can't wait. It's on the calendar.
Well, have yourself a great weekend. Michelle Lambert, everybody. Go check out Come to Me, check out her back catalog, and check her out at a live show.
Awesome. Thanks you, guys.
Have a great night.
The Ray Powers Hour.